Hello and welcome back to another episode of In the Corner. I'm Cash. Today we have episode 96. As you can hear, I'm still sick, but we're persevering. We've got a pretty good day of fights coming up. We had a great card last night we're going to talk about, and a whole lot of news to get into. So let's talk about last night's card in York Hall in London. First time matching's been to York Hall in around 6 years, which is crazy. I thought the main event was spectacular. Kieron Conway, George Liddard. George Liddard's kind of his coming out party. We've known he's really good. I feel like he's been on an insane fast track. Like just this time last year, he was fighting an 8-rounder. He's like a journeyman, and now he's British champion. It's crazy. He stepped up really fast, but has looked very good along the way. And the Conway fight, I mean, he was dominating the first few rounds. It was a really fun fight to watch, but he was dominating. And then Conway got a little bit more comfortable, and then right as he was starting to get in his groove a bit, he injured his left hand. I think it was pretty bad. And he was telling his corner he can't clench his fist, and you could just see he was in a lot of pain, and he was wincing. He went down at one point from it, and then eventually in round number 10, Liddard was able to force a stoppage, and Conway's corner threw in the towel. Now, where do they go from here? George Liddard, I'd like to see him stay at British level. I do think that he's a legitimate world prospect. I wouldn't be surprised if he can win a world title one day, but that's still one day. I mean, there's no rush to get him out of this level. I'd say he keeps finding people there. Somebody suggested Tyler Denny. That's a really good fight. I mean, Denny's got a good name in the UK. He stepped up to world or European level at least and came up short against Hamza Shiraz. But I think George Liddard is a better fighter than Tyler Denny is, and I think he probably beats him. Conway as well can still stay around British level. I find it interesting he was saying that he's just now coming into his prime in 29. I don't think he's coming into his prime. I don't think he's going to be, like a contender or anything like that. But he's good. He's a good fighter. One of the most interesting stories coming out of that card was Jimmy Sainz, who's on the undercard, and he became English champion. Really, really good fighter. I think he's like 11-0 with 10 knockouts now. Had a tough fight with Troy Coleman in front of him, and he made very easy work of it, stopping him after 4 rounds. And people are starting to wonder, these guys are mates. They're in the same gym, but they're both same division and same level now. Are we going to have to see them fight at some point? I think that they're going to find a way to edge around it. Like, once it's time for Sainz to go up and get that English title, that's when Liddard will vacate. And he'll go and he'll fight at European level or something like that. So they'll just try and keep them separated for as long as possible. I mean, it's been done before. The Klitschko's never fought each other. Friends like Shakur and Keyshawn have never fought each other. It's possible. It's possible to be around the same weight, even be in the same weight division and at the same level and still not fight each other. So, I don't know, but it would be crazy if they did fight because, I mean, that is a fantastic fight on paper. They're friends. I don't think it'll happen. Also on the undercard, Shannon Ryan dominating Chloe Watson. I was very surprised that I had picked Chloe Watson to win the fight very narrowly, but Shannon Ryan completely dominated her, looked fantastic. After 4 rounds, they had to stop the fight and go to an early decision because Watson had a crazy eye swelling and was completely huge black eye. Couldn't see anything. So that's a shame that the fight ended early. It probably affected her game plan, but Ryan was going to win that fight nonetheless. She was looking really sharp. And, I mean, again, that division, 115 in women's, there's not a whole lot of room to stick around at British title level for. Why not go up and try and get a world championship? I think it's possible. I don't know how good all the champions are in that division, but I think Shannon Ryan's a decent enough fighter that she can challenge for one and test her luck. So I'd be fine with that next. A lot of other really great prospects. Teammate Aiden looked great, of course. Adam Maka had another. He had an interesting fight where he honestly lost the 3rd round of his fight. Got hit with a lot of clean shots. And in the 4th round, got back on and stopped his guy. But he's a very exciting prospect. That was a good fight. Taylor Bevan had a good opponent and stopped his guy. Lily Buttigieg went the distance but had a really fun 8-round fight. And then who else was on that card? You had Jermaine Deloya, who also had a 3rd round stoppage, or maybe it was a 4th. I'm not sure, but it was a good round all around. Or it was a good card. Sorry, not a good round. So I enjoyed it. I like the York Hall shows. The atmosphere is so good, and yeah, so some really good. It was kind of like a next gen card from them, but I enjoyed it. Let's talk about what we got coming up this weekend. We do have the Danny Garcia fight. I'm unsure if I'm going to watch that one yet because I'm really not trying to spend $40 for that fight. But a lot of interesting names in the undercard. And not great fights, but guys like Gabe Rosado, Chris Colbert, who else? Damian Kneba, a lot of interesting guys. I did see that the Richard Comey fight against Nahir Albright, it was not on BoxRec anymore. That was meant to be the co-main event. It was initially meant to be H2O Silva versus Comey, but it looks like both those fights are now off, and none of those guys are going to be fighting, which does suck, but oh well. I was listening to a little bit of Danny Garcia's interview with Ariel Helwani and him talking about this fight. It seems like he says he's 85% sure this will be his last fight. It's obviously been marketed as the last fight in Barclays Center for him, last fight in Brooklyn. I think he says it's just going to depend on how he feels after the fight. If I'm being honest, I think it's probably time to hang him up. If you're considering it, and we know Danny Garcia is kind of washed, he's not in his prime anymore, I think he'll win tomorrow night. But it just depends on how easily he does that and how good he looks, that we can decide, okay, do we want to see this guy keep fighting or is he done? I assume he's probably done, but who knows? Who knows? Sometimes they still got something left in the tank. But yeah, so I'm curious how his fight goes. We got other cards. UFC Vancouver, RDR, Reinier de Ridder goes for his fourth fight of 2025, I believe, which will probably be the last one. He's meant to be Fluffy Hernandez, now going to be taking on Brendan Allen. Still a top 10 middleweight fight. I like this fight a lot. I think RDR takes it, but it'll be competitive. And after this, I want them to rebook RDR Fluffy. But I'm looking forward to this fight. It's a great card in Vancouver. You've got co-main event Kevin Holland back in action against Mike Malott. I hope Kevin Holland gets a good win. It's a tough fight for him. It really is. But if Kevin Holland can win, he can hopefully go for a sixth fight this year because he wants to make that happen. This is his fifth most active guy on the roster. You've also got Cheeto Vera taking on Ayman Zahabi. Cheeto really needs this win. I don't know if he gets it. I'm kind of thinking that Zahabi will win this fight. But Cheeto's coming off 2 straight losses. He hasn't fought in over a year. So it would be very important for him to win this fight. But that should certainly be a good one. Menon Fuero versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. This is pretty much like a title eliminator of challenging the winner of Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili, which happens next month, of course. Obviously, Fuero just recently fought for the title, but I don't know, man. This is a really good fight. I'm curious to see how it goes. Jasudavicius has been on a really good run, but Menon Fuero, she was competitive in there with Shevchenko. She could have won that fight, so I'm looking forward to that. Charles Jourdain versus David Grant, also on the main card, should be fun. Kyle Nelson, Matt Frivola. And then the featured prelim is Kyle Propalik versus Drew Dober. That's a good fight. I've seen the Drew Dober comment about how he ended up marrying his opponent's sister, even though he lost the fight or something like that. That's so funny. That's really funny. So, yeah. And then you also have Bruno Silva, who's number 14 flyweight, taking on Hyun Sung Park on the prelims. So some good fights on this card. I'm looking forward to it. UFC's Canada events are usually pretty entertaining cards. This one's got a lot, and that main event is enticing. RDR's coming off a really great stretch, knocking out Bo Nickel, beating a former champion in Robert Whittaker. He's very close to the title shot. I don't think a win here gets him that, but a win here certainly gets him into a number one contendership match. And I do think Nasruddin Imavov will be next for Hamzat. After this, RDR fights Fluffy. Winner of that gets the title shot. That's how I think it goes. But Jake Paul's Most Valuable Promotions is back with their next card in Texas. A really, really stacked card in terms of the amount of fights. They have 10 fights. Meant to have 11. We saw that Alex Getche missed weight, so he's now off the card. Main event, Lourdes Juarez will defend her WBC Light Flyweight Championship against Jessica Neri Plata. So another good Women's World Championship headlines a prospects card. Not really sure who's going to win this one. So I won't make a prediction, but hopefully it's another good fight. Their last headliner was awesome between Kudos and Clavel. You also have Desley Robinson versus Logan Holler on the undercard, which is a unified middleweight championship. So you have 2 world title fights happening on this event tonight. So that's awesome. I'm excited for this. Omar Juarez versus Omar Rosario is a co-main event, 10 rounds at super lightweight. The fight I'm personally most looking forward to, Sharetta Metcalf versus Crystal Rosado. This is a huge crossroads fight. Sharetta Metcalf lost her world title in the undisputed fight earlier this year, and now she's fighting Crystal Rosado, who's stepping up. Had just been a prospect, and now she's looking to become a contender. This is a really, really good matchup. I kind of want to get behind Crystal Rosado. She hasn't been overly consistent in her career, but I think Sharetta Metcalf is, at least when she was champion, was probably one of the worst champions we had in the sport, man or women. I just didn't think that she was that good. I didn't think that she had won her fights against Yoshida. So I don't know, but here we are. And she's got a really interesting fight. And this one's over 8 3-minute rounds. I love the 3-minute rounds for women. And yeah, so excited to see that they've got another big fight also doing 3-minute rounds. You also have Yolanda Vega, who obviously lost to Holly Holm this summer. She's back fighting Miranda Reyes, who recently fought Caroline Dubois. Ronnie Alvarez makes his 5th professional appearance on this card. You have Alexis Chaparro back in action off that crazy knockout. Sebastian Juarez going for 10-0. You've got Pedro Vicha. And then you've got Reggie Ray Martinez versus Edgar Rosales, which is an undefeated versus undefeated fight. As is Pedro Vicha versus Xavier Zuniga, as is Alexis Chaparro versus David Gutierrez. A lot of prospects fighting each other. You know, a lot of undefeated versus undefeated. There's 3 fights on this card that are O versus O. Someone's O's got to go. So, really good stuff that they're cooking over at MVP. I like the prospect series. I just hope they have another card by the end of the year. We can get another fight night because it feels like they have so many world champions now that all their prospects events are all prospects championship edition because they all have like a female world title fighter, maybe even 2 in this case, you know. So I don't know. We do have 2 other cards this weekend. You have BKFC in Hammond, Indiana, where you'll have Bryce Henry versus Roderick Stewart in the main event. Cameron Van Camp versus Derek Finley in the co-main. So good 2 fights there. Good card. You've also got a PFL Africa card with all their semifinals. So hopefully they have another card by the end of the year to clear out those tournaments. We haven't heard any news about a December PFL Africa card, but all 4 semifinalists will be in action, or all 8 or 16 in total, because there's 4 in each division and 4 divisions. But we'll have the championship matchups decided at the end of tonight's action. I apologize for how sick I am. I'm sorry. Okay, let's talk about some news now. We've got some interesting stuff to talk about and ones that I'm pretty mad about, including this next one. DAZN and The Ring and Turkey lied about their pay-per-view model. So it was announced this week that the Benavidez versus Yarde pay-per-view, it will be a pay-per-view. Yeah, we were told it would not be. We were told it to be the start of no pay-per-view. We knew they were introducing this The Ring Pass, which is going to be an extra subscription. But apparently, you have the Ring Pass, and then you'll also, if you don't have the Ring Pass on DAZN, you can still buy the fights as pay-per-views. So they're still just pay-per-views. I'm worried this Ring Pass is going to be a lot. Apparently, it's going to be around like 15 events a year. So I guess it means that Turkey plans on putting like 15 pay-per-views on a year, or there's other fights included in this Ring Pass with DAZN, like a Queensberry or a Matchroom pay-per-view. I don't really know how that's going to work, but I don't know. I'm just worried about it being like super expensive now. But yeah, I mean, this kind of defeats the whole purpose. You say, oh, the reason that people pirate the fights is because of the pay-per-view. And it's like, no, it's because it's expensive. You know, if the fight is like $20-$30 on pay-per-view, I'm buying it. But when you have a $60 pay-per-view and then on top of that, you charge or you make the you make a Ring Pass subscription that's $50 a month or something, that's essentially just buying a pay-per-view every month when we don't know what fights are going to be on. We don't know what fights that subscription will include 8 months from now if we buy it for a year. We don't know if you're even going to have a pay-per-view event every month. So it's just kind of causing a question if it's really worth it, you know? I don't know. Oleksandr Usyk says that he will not fight Moses Itauma, but wants to stay fighting until he's 41. So he plans to fight until 2028, but he doesn't want to fight potentially he will probably become the best guy in the division by then. Because Moses Itauma is already top 8 heavyweights. And by the time that, you know, Usyk's about to retire, Itauma will be looking for a world title fight probably sometime next year. And if Usyk doesn't want to fight Itauma, fine, but then retire next year. But you have to fight the best guy, and I think Itauma is about to become the best guy. So this kind of sounds like a duck. It almost does. I don't want to say that, but it kind of does. Speaking of retirement, Alex Pereira says that once he retires from the UFC, he plans to move into boxing. I assume he's going to make a Francis Ngannou type move, try and get those paydays. Maybe he goes for the Jake Paul route. I don't know. He said he's always wanted to box. I think he could be pretty good. He's also around that age. He's almost 40. I don't know how successful he can be. But, I mean, you know, he's a really good kickboxer. He's got insane power. I think he could actually, if anyone can transition from UFC and become a boxing champion in like 2 fights, it is do that somehow. Speaking of Alex Pereira, Khamzat Chimaev says he wants to move up and fight him at 205. Khamzat Chimaev is fine where he's a big middleweight, but he needs to defend that belt. He fights like once a year, wins the belt one time, and is already like, all right, I'm going to move up to 205 for a super fight. Pereira's about to go up to heavyweight, dude. It's just, I don't know. I do not have any interest in Khamzat making that move yet. Maybe eventually I can see him go up to 205, but stay at 185 for at least a good bit and defend the title because he's going to be a dominant champion if he stays there. Really surprising news this week as Anderson Silva versus Chris Weidman has been added to Jake Paul Tank Davis. It's a 6-round heavyweight boxing match limited at 205 pounds. Obviously, they fought twice in the UFC. Weidman won both fights by finish, so Silva looks to get his get back here. Silva is 50. Weidman's 41. I don't hate this. I like these fights sometimes. They can be fun, but I'm also worried just because Silva's so up there in age, and as is Weidman. Like, we don't need to see these guys fight again, but this will drive in the MMA audience for that card, so it is a smart move. And, yeah, I'm really curious how this one goes. AJ could potentially fight on an undercard before the end of the year. It seems like Matchroom is going to have a card in Ghana on December 20th or something like that. Like a smaller one with like Craig Richards, Dan Aziz is what the rumor is. And it's possible AJ could fight on that before he does a really big fight there in like February. So we'll see. But this is bizarre to me because AJ is undoubtedly a headline act. Even if it is a four-rounder against a journeyman, which one, if you're Anthony Joshua, you don't really get that. You have to always have at least a decent opponent. But he should not fight on undercard because he'll sell all the tickets. Put him after the main event if you're going to do that because he's the star of any show he's on. Like, come on. It's being rumored, it actually seems very likely that Misfits Dubai is happening December 20th. Andrew Tate versus Chase Tamor is rumored. But Tamor has since denied that this is true. Andrew Tate has been in rumors that he's in negotiations with Misfits, and his brother said that he knows that Andrew Tate, if he were to go to Misfits, would want to go and fight the heavyweight champion, which Chase Tamor is. That's a huge mismatch. Tate would destroy Chase Tamor, but I don't really care. I honestly would love to see Andrew Tate versus Darren Tills. It seems like Darren Tills teasing he'll be on this event too. I don't know what the main event is, but if it is Andrew Tate, Darren Till, that's very, very appetizing, and I would love to see how that one goes. Some other news. What else do we have? Oh, Jimmy TK. I don't know why I always say that. Jimmy TKV versus Fraser Clark has been delayed to November 29th. Very disappointing. We talked about this on the last episode. It's just a really bad start to the new Boxer BBC deal for this show to continually get delayed. TKV is obviously injured, so this really sucks, but what are you going to do? Now they're clashing with Ben Whitaker's Matchroom debut. I think they could actually do more viewership just because it is on BBC, and this is a much more competitive fight, but Whitaker's a much bigger name, so who knows, because they would have gotten trumped by the Parker-Wardley collision. Espinoza versus Kagai has been announced for November 15th in Mexico. I said in the past, I'm not a huge fan of this fight. I don't think Arnold Kagai deserved the opportunity. I would have liked to see Espinoza unify or fight, someone like Luis Alberto Lopez. But this is an okay fight. I'm sure it'll end up being a pretty good watch. You got some really good fighters in the undercard. Lindolfo Delgado versus Gabriel Goyes Valenzuela. IBF 140 final eliminator. That's actually a really good fight. And you also have Richard Torres Jr. and Emiliano Vargas back in 10 rounders. Vargas' first 10 rounder. Torres staying busy against an okay opponent. Would have liked him to, keep on fighting the Guido Vianello type opposition, but no need to rush these guys. Just glad that Top Rank's getting so many of their fighters out there on this Mexico card, and I'm hopeful we can get a US TV deal. Hopefully it's like on ESPN Deportes like the Oscar Valdez fight was, because we need to see this, and this has got a lot of good fighters on it, so this is essentially just a Top Rank X Zanfer show. So I'm looking forward to that one. Speaking of undercards and such, Matchroom announced the undercard for Diego Pacheco versus Kevin Lele Saggio. It's pretty solid, I won't lie. Gabe Flores will be fighting Joe Cordina for the WBO International Lightweight title, so they assume that the winner of this is going to be called mandatory for the winner of Mason versus Noakes. So important fight there. I like this fight a good bit. It's an interesting matchup. I think Joe Cordina should win this, but I'm not opposed to it. Tito Mercado's going to be fighting Antonio Moran, who's a really solid fighter. He just came off an upset win over Myquan Williams on a Pro Box card, so that's a good fight. Arturo Cardenas versus Cesar Vaca, who just fought Sam Goodman. Cardenas finally fighting again. He's been inactive and hasn't had the best performances as of late. So he'll need a win here. And then Sky Nicholson will be back in action as she challenges for the interim WBC Super Bantamweight World title. And, important fight for her. Hopefully she wins this. We get to see her fight Ellie Scotney because that's a great fight. But she's been very active. This will be her 4th fight of the year. Obviously, she lost to Tiara Brown, but has been looking much stronger at 122. And, excited for that undercard, looking pretty good. Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira has been added to UFC 323. Great fight. Great fight. I think that you've got this and Manel Kape versus Brandon Royval. Whoever wins out of these 2 fights is going to become very, very likely to fight for the title. Probably the winner of Royval Kape may deserve it more, but Moreno, Tatsuro, winner of this could definitely fall into that title contention as well if they have a really good and explosive, exciting win. But flyweight's looking really good. You got 3 really, really good competitive top 5 flyweight fights happening in December. 2 on December 6th, 1 on December 13th. We eating good in that division. So just a few days after Kubrat Pulev was ordered to defend the WBA regular heavyweight title against Moses Itauma, it's announced he's going to be fighting Murat Gassiev in Dubai on December 12th. Really weird fight. I'm okay with it, honestly. I feel like it'll be an evenly matched heavyweight fight now, but this is not at all a world title level fight. It's just not. These guys are not even like top 30 heavyweights. I'm worried it'll be a boring one. Moses Itauma would ice Kubrat Pulev or Murat Gassiev. I just feel like this title has been held outside of like the mainstream of boxing because, the guys like Kubrat Pulev would lose most likely to guys like Moses Itauma, and they don't want to bring that belt in because then it just becomes too confusing. But, odd fight. The IBF have ordered Liam Paro versus Paddy Donovan as an eliminator for the welterweight title held by Lewis Crocker. I've heard some people a little bit upset at this, saying how Donovan just lost to Crocker twice in a row. How is he getting ordered in an eliminator? Well, you can argue that Paddy Donovan won both those fights, and you're probably right in that statement. So, I'm not mad at him at all getting the eliminator. I would have preferred just to have seen Liam Paro fight Lewis Crocker because that's a good fight, and Liam Paro beats him. And we're even hearing that Lewis Crocker's now looking for the Manny Pacquiao fight. That's just funny because he's just trying to chase the cash cow. We know Pacquiao's likely going to fight Rolly Romero, but Lewis Crocker does not want to fight Pacquiao because he would definitely lose that fight. And I think he would lose to the winner of Paro Donovan too. Donovan just needs to be a little bit tighter game plan and not have the fight in Belfast in Crocker's backyard, and he beats him. So, winner of that will definitely fight for the title, I would assume. SES Promotions has won the purse bid for Chris Smith versus Roman Fress the second time around for the WBO Interim Championship. Low bid, probably not going to end up happening just because CBS won't take the offer because it's, not a lot of money because they had a low bid and Boxer didn't bid at all. I think CBS, he should take it if he's getting paid more. If not, hold out for like a Jaya Pataya opportunity. But then again, he's about to fight Chikara, and then he's going to be fighting Zerto next year, hopefully, finally. But, tough luck for CBS because looking to get a fight, ordered to fight this, Boxer doesn't even bet on it, and then he's going to get paid crap for it, so he may not even take it. Just a weird situation. Speaking of Boxer being weird and Riyadh season, Zaur Abdullayev is out of the Adam Azim fight, says that they never actually agreed a deal. Yeah, Team Abdullayev is saying that they never signed a deal and there were negotiations and Turki and them just announced the fight before it was done. So, Abdullayev pulled out, I guess, but he also just never actually signed the contract, which does suck because that would have been a good matchup, good test for Azim. He is still going to fight on the card. They said they're looking for a replacement opponent, so hopefully it's someone decent. But, it's not going to be Abdullayev. So hopefully, I'm just hoping they can find a good opponent on, 3 weeks' notice. But, Ring Magazine will just throw a ton of money at someone, and they'll end up on the card fighting Azim. So we'll see who that is. Manny Pacquiao Promotions has announced their first show. November 29th in San Diego will be headlined by Elijah Pierce versus Lorenzo Parra. Really good matchup, I think. Lorenzo Parra just gave Omar Trinidad a great fight. Elijah Pierce coming off some good wins, looking to get into a title contention match. This is a great fight. It'll be a good challenge for Pierce. I'm not sure if he wins it. His last fight was very, scary. if he was going to win that. So, yeah, I like this card. I'm excited for that fight. I'm probably going to watch it. I think it's on ESPN Plus maybe, because I feel like they signed a deal with MP Promotions. But, yeah, I love Pacquiao coming to the States. He's going to do like 6 shows a year, so he's going to take a big swing, and this is a pretty good debut show. So, I'm curious to see. Abel Mendoza has one of the most padded records out of any fighter ever. He's 42-0 and has never fought anyone. So I'd love to see him get checked and see how good he really is. So have him fight Moten. Why not? And then lastly, Queensberry Promotions has officially announced that they will be adding Shaquille Thompson to their stable. Interesting that they've snatched him up from GBM, but good for Shaquille. I think that he'll be on a bigger, stage here with Queensberry. And also, as much as I love GBM, they were not doing him right. They had him in 2 BS journeyman fights this year when he's world ranked. Why are you fighting in 6 and 8 rounders against guys with losing records? It made no sense what he was doing. So I'm glad for him to get signed with Queensberry. They'll give him good fights. I mean, hey, him and Denzel Bentley, I'm just saying that's a good fight. There's a good domestic UK fight. They're both ranked with the WBO, I think. So make that an eliminator if Bentley and Saavedra can't get a deal put through. So, yeah. Good options for Shaquille Thompson over at Queensberry. Yeah, Nathan Heaney's another one as well. So, and Brad Pauls. All those domestic guys. That's all I've got for today. Thank you guys so much for listening. Again, I apologize for my voice. It's probably why it was a shorter episode. Just wanted to get through it. But enjoy the fights today. Should be a fun day. I'm looking forward to these UFC cards, seeing RDR back in action. Stacked event, the prospects card. And yeah, so I'll probably do another episode, probably Tuesday is what I'm thinking, because I'm going to be pretty busy over these next few days, and I'm still, trying to get better. So thank you guys so much for listening. Have a good weekend, and peace out.